Hello and welcome back to the Seeker's Reset. I am Robert, and for the first time, I am recording from a different location from my parents' home, which is the home that I grew up in, which is where I've been living for the last like 5 or 6 months. And instead, I'm in upstate New York right now. I've rented a place for the weekend of July 4th for a lot of reasons, and not least of which was it was time for me to have some space to myself so that I could take the next step in my reset, which is partly what I'll be describing today. And also because I have very specific this weekend and the July 4th holiday in particular, and the location that I'm in all bear very significantly in my story and in my life. So I'm kind of going through a portal of sorts right now. And so that's a lot of what I'm going to be discussing today, actually. This channel, my life, and therefore this channel, are in the midst of change. And if any of you actually have watched videos from the past and sort of seen the evolution, you've already begun to notice, I think, how things have evolved, even in the 15 videos that I've posted over the past 4 months. And at this moment in my life, I have come to a much clearer understanding of something involving what the Seeker's Reset is. Something very essential about it. And it's very interesting that I'm coming to this understanding on the weekend of July 4th, which is Independence Day here in the United States, a date which has had significant influence in my life, especially during the last 4 or 5 years. The essence of the reset is independence. Well, more specifically, it's individuation. And actually, I think in the United States, we tend to place a great deal of emphasis on independence and freedom. It's sort of like baked into our DNA. It's what motivates things like the even elements of the Make America Great concept or the so-called patriot movement, the patriotism of the United States. A lot of it is motivated by this notion of freedom and independence that we have. And we could spend a lot of time discussing like what that's all about. But what I will say is that there's something erroneous and false at the core. It's that it's sort of like a mistaken understanding of what freedom and independence actually are. And it's true on a lot of levels, but the core one is that real freedom and independence has to start with individuation, like what it means to individuate. And that's at the core of the Seeker's Reset. I'm not going to go into the metaphysics and psychology and philosophy of individuation. I mean, you know, if you're following me, you probably know a lot about it already. You could and refer primarily to the work of Carl Jung, but also a lot of other esoteric philosophy and theory. But individuation here, July 4th, Independence Day, for me, more than ever, is about individuation. It's Individuation Day. And individuation, the way I'm presenting it, is going to differ somewhat from others, but the core of it is still the same. It's that we become an individual. Like to individuate means we become an individual. We become an individual, and in order to become an individual, we have to become ourselves. You are the only individual you can become, and I am the only individual that I can become. And so goes it throughout humanity. In the context of what I'm calling the Seeker's Reset, this term that my former partner and I came up with together. In the context of the seeker's reset, in the context of the seeker's reset, individuation is taking on a new meaning to me. Because really, like trauma and almost all things that keep us trapped are cyclical, right? We wind up in cycles of time and events and names, places, people, like everything cycling. You know, they say like you date the same type of person over and over in your life. You find the same kind of job over and over. You keep thinking you're going to find, you go through these cycles. And in my life, this became so evident. In fact, I was able to use it to navigate my reset, to know every time I came to certain junctures, crossroads, etc., like to understand the nature of that crossroad more and more precisely each time. I kept coming to the same kind of crossroads over and over, kept having the same kinds of events and experiences lining up with similar dates, week by week, month by month, year by year. These cycles became very clear. It even connected with larger cycles in the collective, the calendar, dates on the calendar, holidays, significant events in history, astrological transits, etc. So time becomes a big part of this individuation process, which is why I'm specifically talking about this on Independence Day, and I'm making a point of it, is that it's a marker, it's an important marker in time, especially for people in the United States. It's an important marker in time. And when we discover what the marker means to the collective and to us as individuals, we can begin to utilize the cycles and understand the cycles so that we can transcend them. We can break the cycles, because a big part of individuation is breaking and transcending and changing the cycles we've been stuck in throughout our lives. Okay. This is at the core of the Seeker's Reset. So one of the cycles and one of the things that we've been stuck in, I'm coming to the awareness of, is that the seeker, or seekers like me, is faced with this false dichotomy between either I'm a seeker or I'm not. This is not a real choice. And I didn't notice this until just yesterday. So the seeker's reset is not an ending to seeking. It is the awareness, it is a change in awareness and agency and purpose within seeking. And it is in a willingness to root into oneself. So most seekers, including me, are actually escapists. We're trying to escape something. So we're getting outside of ourselves. We're trying to search outside of ourselves for the answer. It will never work. The best that will provide is somewhere along the line you will see a reflection. You will come up against something or someone, or a series of somethings and someones in my case. It has taken me a while to learn this lesson. That will force you to stop moving forward in the way you're used to moving forward, to stop seeking in the way that you're used to seeking. For me, this was a business partner, it was a business, it was an industry, it was a spiritual community, it was a partner, it was COVID and the whole moment of lockdown. It was divine truth, which I talk about in a lot of these episodes and I provide links to below. And divine truth was the last one, and the final one has been my family, my parents. It's these kind of like immovable obstacles that force a change in the relationship that I have with myself and with seeking. It's really hard. It's funny, the last video I posted today is actually something I recorded 2 weeks or so ago called On Language, because I'm really struggling to find the language for this. So I'm hoping that I will transmit this sufficiently. We never stop seeking. Anybody who stops seeking stops growing. And also, even there, the seeking and the growing, it's like the seeking starts to like connect more with growth as opposed to escape, as opposed to trying to find something. Seeking becomes more of this process of decision to seek to grow in different categories and parts of ourselves. Because we will never stop seeking. You're always going to be seeking something, seeking solutions to problems, seeking more understanding of something through learning, through education, through research, seeking more perfection of skills that you choose to learn and train in, seeking higher quality of products, higher quality of service, seeking to know people more, to grow in morality, in ethics. There is, and seeking more, better and higher levels of guidance for these things. We never stop seeking, ever. So the seeker's reset is not a choice to stop seeking. It's a return to a purer source of the search within oneself, to a purer intention behind the search, and to a rooting within to ourselves, which you could relate to the idea of a soul. I still am not in touch with soul fully in my life, but I'm relating it to soul. It's like, where does the search, the desire to seek, the desire to grow, these two things are very related. Where does that search and desire emanate from? The reset is not an end to seeking, it's a resetting of where it emanates from. And in my case, I've noticed, the more time I've spent with my parents in the last 6 months, that a great deal of my search emanated from a desire to rebel against them, to conquer them, to prove things to them, to get them to agree with me, to get them to join me, etc., etc., etc. A great deal of my search had to do with convincing and changing my parents. That was deeply seated in me. It is one of my strongest motivations in life that I'm only now beginning to face and address and reset, and to move the locus, you could call it, the locus of my search, the seed, like the sort of like the starting point, the starting point of the vector. Take it away from a focus on getting some outcome with my parents, change them, convince them, get their praise, get their support, and relocate, reset that locus into me, deeply into myself. That's individuation in other terms. And I have been in a cycle of wanting to convince them throughout my life. Almost every level or every endeavor in my search was unconsciously a seeking of the thing that would finally allow me to prove something to them, to convince them of something, to get them to follow me, to get them to give me things they never gave me in terms of support and love and having needs met. I didn't know. It's like if I were to draw it, it would be like I'm here and it would go like straight up, right? Like would be like the search would emanate out from there. But instead there's like this distortion and the search is distorted. And so I've been constantly trying to find an answer in a direction that isn't really me. It's like me, them. And I've been going off in this tangent and trying, if you think of it as a cycle, going off, coming back around, hoping that I can prove myself to them. Finally get them to hear me. Finally get them to see me. Finally get them to trust me. So today on July 4th, Individuation Day. I love Individuation Day. I think somewhere, somehow, that would catch on. Individuation Day is about recognizing the essence of a seeker's reset is not the end of the search. It's the resetting of the locus of the search, the intention behind the search, the desires of the search, and resetting all of that. It's not ending the search. So many people, this is why I think people talk about selling out, settling. Instead of understanding that we root into ourselves and we reset the locus of our search, of the adventure of our lives, of the movement. We don't give up the search. We don't give up the adventure. We don't give up the movement into the world, the desire to learn and grow and experience brand new things. We don't settle. That's not the seeker's reset. The seeker's reset is so much more profound than that. Wow, I do not have the language for this, and I haven't resorted yet to drawing things. I hope this makes some sense. But the mistake that so many people make when they are going through a seeker's reset, and they wouldn't necessarily call it that, when they're going through resets in their lives, at their rock bottom moments, at the moments when they realize their life must change, is they settle into a pre-existing mold. They crystallize. They submit to other people's will or to the will of stories that are not of their own making and that are not objectively true. Stories like religion. Stories like varying philosophies, even things like AA or any of the 12-step programs. These things bring us to a state of stasis. They lock us in. They're new cages. And we're here to root and transcend, not to get locked into a new cage. A new mold. Hope this is valuable to somebody. I know that I will grow in my capacity to explain this. I'll take another shot at doing a video as soon as possible, maybe even tomorrow. I hope so. because I need to develop these ideas more, this concept, this experience that I'm having, this awareness that I'm developing, and I'm certain it will be valuable to other people. Happy Individuation Day. This is the Seeker's Reset. I'm Robert. Looking forward to communicating and connecting with you again soon. Take care.